Welcome to today's event where we have the pleasure to present Øssur, and I think you will also talk a little bit about the name in the end because you're going to make a name shift, but right now you are traded at this one, so that's why I use this one. To help us through, welcome Sven Silversen, CEO and President of Øssur. Today, innovative solutions. We are going to look a little bit about your products and maybe a little bit about the products that comes in the future. I know it's a big part of your growth. It's one of the big parts of your growth pillar, and I think it's a very important stepping stone to understand the business case or the investment case in your share. So that is the agenda today. As always, you are encouraged to ask questions in the box down below. We have already had some coming, but do feel free to do it during the presentation. We will take most of the questions in the end. But for now, I think I will hand the call over to you, Sven.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate being here and appreciate you that have dialed in. Innovation has always been our focus when it comes to how we move the business forward, and I'll say a few words around that in a strategic context. But first, a little bit about the company. We are a global mid-sized healthcare company today. We operate in most major healthcare markets. We have direct presence in about 36 countries, a little over 4,000 employees across the globe, mostly in well-developed healthcare system where there is a reimbursement system of some sort that provides funding for our products. 90% of the products that we manufacture and fit onto our patients are paid for by some sort of government or private insurance scheme. Also, going back to innovation, we invest around a little over $30 million every year and have been growing that investment at a higher rate than we grow our organic sales growth in recent years. And we have around roughly 2,000 patents with regards to how devices are fitted to the external body. We don't do any products that go into the body yet. I will, though, say a few words around that later. The company has always grown since we were listed on the stock exchange in 1999. Today, our shares trade only in Copenhagen, and throughout this growth period, the company has always been a profitable business. These are the three areas that we compete in. We provide, let's say, our core business is providing products to individuals that have a chronic mobility challenge. That's our prosthetics and neuroorthotics business, where we have a complete portfolio of both lower, for let's say extremity, for people that have lost a leg either below or above knee, or hands. And then also with our latest acquisition of Fior & Gentz, we have a fairly comprehensive portfolio of solutions for individuals that have a chronic mobility challenge as a result of stroke or other neurological conditions that create a permanent impairment with regards to mobility. Our bracing business is are principally products that are used for a one-time event of some sort for preventing or post-injury, and our osteoarthritis business or solutions for slidgigt in Danish are a big part of our bracing business. And finally, we have our patient care segment where we are servicing the people that need our products. So the way we look at it is that both our core business in prosthetics and neuroorthotics and the patient care business, this is where we are both providing products and ultimately also serving people that have a long-term and a permanent mobility challenge. This is our growth story. We have the company is a 50-year-old company established here in Iceland roughly 50 years ago, but the growth journey started in 1999. At that point, the company was just a one-product prosthetic company. Then we've grown in scale and scope when it comes to product and geographies. And now we again find ourselves in another growth phase where we are further expanding in products and solutions, but also expanding in the value chain, owning and operating companies in all our major markets that that also serve people that use our products and solutions. A little bit about where we are in maturity. This is a very simplified slide that we have used to talk about where we are coming from and where we are going as a business. The picture on the left shows a small niche product business with a presence in prosthetics, bracing, and a growing presence in clinics. And the company on the right is the company we are building today, which is a patient-driven or patient-focused company that is principally focusing on people with chronic mobility challenge, amputees, and people that have neurological complications in the lower part of their body that are ultimately served in O&P clinics. And we are approaching the market in a broader context from a product standpoint. And coming back to innovation and how we look at innovation as first and foremost how we create more or better mobility levels for the people that rely on our services and products, and how we also create value for healthcare systems. And the picture that you see here is, again, a little bit simplified version of what we sometimes refer to as the functional trade-up, where you have in the lower left corner a wooden leg. And believe it or not, actually, most amputees globally today, this is what most amputees use today, is still a very, very primitive wooden leg or a crutch of some sort. But as you move up the scale, carbon fiber feet, this is our bread and butter business today, passive feet solutions that don't have any electronics or sensors or artificial intelligence that can sense the environment and then help you walk more freely. That is the benefit you get from the bionic solutions, which are up in the upper right corner. These are products that are obviously more expensive solutions, but they help the users walk more normally, which means that these individuals are more mobile, they're less likely to fall and break their bones and injure themselves. And therefore it's very valuable for the people that rely on these products, but also very valuable for the healthcare system that pays for these products. And today most healthcare markets, do have reimbursement for these types of devices. But that is something we are actively working on, to create data, to create health economic evidence, to persuade public payers to add these types of products to their reimbursement list. So this is a very, very important part of our strategy, the business case, and ultimately the equity story when it comes to how investors need to view and believe that this will be the trend.
So because one of the questions I had down on my paper before this is, why do payers want to pay up for it? Is it the patient, wanting this, and trying to draw it through the systems, like trying to ask the states to supervise this? Or is it more health economics, like you mentioned, that you can actually prove that by stepping up, you save money to the health systems by preventing falls and getting people more active and getting people more to work? So what are the main drivers for you to get payers to trade up this value chain?
You're actually spot on. It's both patient advocacy, getting patients that use these products in front of decision makers, but it's also collecting data on what it means for an elderly person to have a proprio foot, which is our bionic ankle, and we just have statistics that show that you are much less likely to fall, and just like if an elderly person falls and breaks their hip, just to take one example, that leads to hospitalization for several nights, then the cost of that is much, much higher than providing this person just with a well-functioning prosthetic solution. So that is our argument. But let's say, even though we have a good argument, we have good data, it is still, let's say, you need to take the fight in each and every country. Every country has their own way of deciding what is paid for. Every country has their own way of judging the data, what studies need to be done, and so forth. So this is a constant battle for us. But if you look at this picture here, what this is meant to show, if you look at the yellow triangle and moving from left to right, you see most amputees are what are considered low active individuals. They're typically above 65 years old, the average amputee in the global amputee population. As you move towards the right on this picture, and also look at the blue triangle, which is the reimbursement. So for the low active, most of amputees today, you have very low reimbursement. The access to good devices is very low. But if you look towards the right side of this picture, where you have, let's say, high activity, but that's few amputees, they have the best access to good technology. So our job is to get more of the low active population to get access to these high-end devices. And it's interesting to refer back to a big change that was announced in the US here in January, where Medicare, which is the public payment system in the US that often sets the tone for what is paid for and what not, issued an announcement that they will start paying for, or they're evaluating starting to pay for high-end solutions for the low active population. And this has also been an active strategy on our behalf to create these solutions for the elderly population. So we are ready for that reimbursement change. Just a few more words when it comes to, we've talked a little bit about our efforts when it comes to control mechanisms. How can we help amputees have more intuitive control of their devices? And one of the avenues that we've explored is what we refer to as mind-controlled prosthetics, where we have experimented with implanting sensors into the remaining muscle tissue that communicate with the prosthesis. This is still in research phase, if you will. And then we are also using other types of technology to imitate movement and help users move more freely, because we have lots and lots of, because the human body is such an incredible invention, and we have still lots to do to replicate natural movement. And that's also what comes back to our M&A strategy. We're looking for ways to grow the business through accessing new markets, expanding our portfolio, but certainly also acquiring new technology that can further enable us to serve more patients with better products and solutions. So this is a little bit about our innovation focus. I think we're getting close on the time mark here. I want to say a few words about a recent change that we announced in terms of how our company is evolving and how our company is changing. We announced actually just a week before last that we have created a new parent organization, which is called Embla Medical. Embla Medical will be parent to our product businesses, which is Össur, College Park, and the newly acquired Fjord & Gens, but also our patient care business, where we have patient care, a network of patient care businesses in most of our mature healthcare markets. So there's lots of synergies between both the patient care side and the products and solutions that we offer. But as the business grows, we need more clarity in our structure, roles, and how we create synergies. But at the end of the day, everything we do is about improving people's mobility, both and mostly for individuals that have a chronic mobility challenge. So this is another step forward in our development as a business, and shortly you will see this change as the listed entity or the ticker will change from Össur to Embla Medical. Just to say a few words about this, but if you want more details, you can look it up in our filings over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So yes, so Össur, the share will change name to Embla Medical.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
So
yeah, but should we jump to some questions, Sven?
Yeah.
The first one, how far ahead of your competitors do you see yourself? Do you spend the same or maybe more on R&D? I know it's not everybody who's public, but so a little bit on whether you see yourself in front of the competitors, being an innovation-driven company, and a little bit on the spend on R&D and how you see that.
Yes, I mean, the prosthetics business, our core business, is a very consolidated business when it comes to companies that are investing in innovation and creating products and solutions. Össur let's say the Össur part of the business is the second largest business in the prosthetics field. There's a company called Otto Bock, a private company in Germany that is also there, and these two companies are driving innovation in prosthetics. We are, in terms of just absolute investment, we between these two companies, that's the majority of the investment that is being fueled into innovation in this industry. There are a few a little bit smaller, but still high quality companies in this industry, but we are investing at a much higher intensity and across a broader portfolio as well. So Otto Bock is a great business that have great technology. Both companies have, I believe, a similar view in terms of investing for the benefit of creating more mobile patients and for the benefit of healthcare systems. But just and in some areas we have an advantage, in some areas others have an advantage. But just to name one example, which we are proud of, which is our power knee. Össur was the first company to bring a powered or an active prosthesis to the market, which means that the user will get artificial muscle power, basically, and for an elderly person walking up and down stairs, sitting down, standing up, and when this meeting is over, I urge you all to stand up with just on one foot, just to test that, and it's hard. And that's also a case where we have taken a very, very long-term view. This technology has been in development for a decade, and we've stuck to it, and are now have a first mover advantage when it comes to powered prosthesis, and that has been the product category that has driven a lot of our growth here in the last couple of years as we bring this new technology to market. So I will say that we have very good competitors with very good technology that have an advantage in some areas, while we have an advantage in other areas.
That was a very diplomatic answer, but thank you. Are you protected by patents, or how do you actually protect your innovations? You know, is it like we know the pharmaceuticals, they get 12 years, you know, when it's approved and so on. Is it different in the medtech space, and how do you protect your innovation?
I'm not an expert on the pharmaceutical side, but my feeling though is that it is a bit different. I mean, we invest a lot into our intellectual property, and we are among the global companies that have the most intellectual property around mobility in a global context. And however, when it comes to, I mean, IP is certainly an entry barrier to some degree, but it's also an entry barrier is the fact that we operate in a market which is highly regulated, and we are servicing healthcare systems in reimbursed markets, and having the ability to bring high quality, safe medical devices to market is something that you build up over decades, and building a reputation and a brand that creates high quality, safe products is not something that's easy to replicate from one day to the other. So I would say intellectual property is one element then it's all the other elements that come with it that are hard to replicate.
Yeah, I guess if you get to the more technical ones, they're actually very hard to produce, right? And
Yeah,
put together and so on.
absolutely.
And if you don't do that in large scale, I guess you might replicate it, but you can actually not get a profit out of it. Is that correctly understood?
That's correct. But we've also actively, as part of just maintaining our core business, innovating, creating new patent protection as older patents expire, just being constantly at the forefront and moving the needle, but always with the same clarity in mind, that creating products that create value for the people that rely on them and payers.
There's a question here, and I think you already touched upon it. What are your major competitors? You already mentioned the
yes,
one of them.
Yeah, is one of our competitors. Blatchford it is a UK-based business. Also, a company called Hanger in the US, which has a lot of patient care in the US, but is also active as a manufacturer of components, and a company called Equal, which is a principally also a service business, but also active in products and solutions. So there's a handful of high quality companies in this niche industry, and then you have, as always in emerging markets, you have a lot of, let's say, low cost competition, which is often very regional. But what we have observed is in most of these private pay markets, there's a fast growing population that has the means and the willingness and the ability to invest in good healthcare solutions. And our assumption is also that healthcare markets in these countries will start to create protocols, reimbursement, and payment mechanisms that also serve the people that we are focused on serving well.
Then there's a question here. How much of your business is in the bionic line?
It's about 24% of our prosthetics components business, but it's only a very small part of the volume. So in value, it's about 23-24%, but in volume, it's a low single-digit number. So the amputee population that we service is rather stable in size in the Western world, but it's all about getting more relatively larger share of that population to use better devices, make them more mobile. While in the emerging markets, it's just about getting people to use something, just to paint a simple picture.
Then there's a question: how many years before we could see a mind control product and something like Elon Musk Neuralink? Do you see that as a competitive or a potential partner?
That's a good question with on the Neuralink. I mean, we not to my knowledge have they put their eyes on the prosthetics market. It's maybe a little bit protected because it's such a small or a niche market, if you will, compared to the other things that these individuals are engaged with. There is a lot to do on controls. I mean, we already have prototypes that utilize this mind control technology, which works, but the products and the technology is there, and the technological hurdles are not are smaller than just the reality of getting these things commercialized, getting these products commercialized in terms of who pays for it, and there's also other challenges with regards to acceptance around implanting things into amputees' remaining muscle tissue. There's a lot of things like that, but I'm confident that we will have progress on creating products and solutions which have more intuitive control, meaning that the user doesn't have to think about triggering movement of their device.
Perfect. How much higher are margins on the bionic products? I guess they are also more expensive to produce and much more complex. So is there a much higher margin also moving up this value chain?
Generally, the way to think about bionics is that we invest a lot on the innovation side to create these products. So let's say gross margins are reasonably strong for bionics, even though there remains an opportunity to simplify, and unit cost will go down as the volumes go up. However, so we make very good margins on a gross profit margin level on bionics. However, it's an intensive sales approach. You need lots of training, lots of education, lots of also investment in market access, reimbursement, etc. So and we've made this investment. We have infrastructure in all of the major markets, and as the bionics business grows, it will provide or create some operating leverage, as we believe that we've made a lot of that investment already.
Perfect. And then I have a question. Let me hear. You didn't talk so much about innovations in the patient care, which you have around 36%. I guess a lot of technology, IT that drives in patients, make sure that they get fitted right. Sharing knowledge between. Are you working on that, because now it's almost as big as part of your business, and I guess that there could be a lot of investments there that might actually drive both patient benefit but also margin side on you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because let's say in the traditional sense we think about innovation in terms of creating some tangible products, and if you look at the picture that we still have on the screen, there's lots of synergies and value across our patient care business and the product business, and we have a big job to do to simplify how solutions are delivered, because the industry today in patient care is very much, there's lots of customization and fabrication that happens at the front end of the value chain that needs to be simple. Just to name one example in terms of initiatives that we are driving with the benefit of increasing patient satisfaction, improving patient service, but also creating lots of efficiency in the whole value chain. And that is using our complete leg concept, where the professionals are able to send a digital scan of the remaining stump and receive a complete solution with the customized part, customized to that particular individuals, which means that the quality of the solution is high. It only requires 2 visits compared to often many visits to perfect the socket design. So there's absolutely an opportunity to simplify that workflow, and as we do that well, it will benefit both our patient care business, but it will also benefit us as a product provider, because we can provide better services to our clinical customers. We can sell them products, but also offer them solutions like this complete leg concept. So there's absolutely a lot of innovation across our business that needs to be worked on.
Because I also think, and I know we know more the hearing care here, the easier you can fit, the more remote you can fit, the more patients you can actually take, because there's also limitations on the doctor side, to do all this. So I guess I guess it's the same by you also, that if you find a smart way to minimize time of the professionals, then it could actually also drive up growth.
Absolutely, that's exactly right.
Then there's the last question, then I'll let you off the hook. What will be your top growth country for the next 5 years, and what is the main market driver in those?
Our main growth priorities are to get more in the well-funded healthcare systems, to get more people to use high-end solutions and the bionics. It's on the emerging side to create more access, to be innovative in terms of how we approach these markets from a business model standpoint. And it is to create that more value across the whole value chain in terms of how we deliver solutions. So these will be the main things that will drive our organic growth. And on top of that, we continue to be selective and searching for the right M&A opportunities to strengthen our execution and to fill gaps that we have here and there.
And they also are. There was also a question about which regions or countries, or is that well diversified? Is it US? Depending on, of course, whether you get this game changer on the reimbursement, or is it emerging market, or is it still Europe? You know, where do you see the highest growth rates?
Today we have the highest relative growth rates in private pay markets, in emerging markets. That's where we are. However, there is also a lot of work to do in more mature markets, because a lot of, if you look at some of the European healthcare systems, only very, very low single digit in terms of amputees that get access to these high-end products. So we have our work cut out for us, both in mature markets and private pay markets, and so it'll be a mix.
Perfect. That was the last question. Thank you, Sven, for taking us through your innovation and answering questions and giving us this insight, which I think is an important part of understanding, you know, investment case or your company. I call it investment case because I'm a nerd and living in this business, but of course. So thank you, Sven, and thank you for the audience for listening in.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a nice day.